Check. 1, 2, 3. How's the people?
Christ alone.
Welcome back to the 419 Time Podcast. As always, I'm Zach.
I'm Evan, and today you can see we have a special guest with us, Jeremy Valdez. If you haven't watched our last episode, one of our last episodes on suicide prevention and suicide awareness, it's going to be right here. Take a look at that first. That's what we're going to be talking about today with Jeremy. Without further ado, Jeremy Valdez. We both know you quite a bit, so why don't you let everybody know just who you are?
Yeah, I'm Jeremy. Thanks for having me on, guys. I grew up in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I went to school at Indian Wesleyan with these two. Graduated there last year, and now I'm an athletic trainer in Warsaw. So, yeah, I guess that's a little bit about me.
Played soccer.
Was
a soccer star.
I don't know if I get that far.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for joining us. We're super excited. Like we've said many times, each of our testimonies has so much power, and everything we go through has a lot of power. One thing that we can kind of all agree on is that we have a super strong passion for suicide prevention, walking through life with people who've been affected, whether it's a personal suicide attempt, suicidal thoughts, or experiencing suicide through friends, family, classmates actually attempting and committing suicide. So first off, we're going to put the suicide hotline up here on the.
So through my own personal testimony, sharing about my own suicide experience, Jeremy just reached out and kind of just let some insight into his own personal experience here. So this is the reason why we want to bring Jeremy on this episode, where he can share his own personal experience, just again to make suicide awareness, suicide prevention, where we can hopefully just make suicide not an option. And so we just wanted to give Jeremy a platform where he can share his own experience. So Jeremy, we'll just let you go right into it and share what you're comfortable with, and just kind of tell the people kind of what you told me and Evan.
Yeah. So like I said, from Colorado Springs, when I was in high school, I'm not sure the numbers now, but it was the number one it had the number one teen suicide rate. And I saw that definitely firsthand. My first experience with it was right before my 7th grade year. A kid on my soccer team, he was playing the choking game, which I don't know if you know what that is, but essentially people choke themselves to get high, but he took it too far, and we saw a lot with other people as well taking it too far. He ended up passing away. They weren't sure necessarily if it was suicide, if it wasn't. There was a whole debate there a little bit, but regardless, it was not a good situation. So that was the summer of between my 6th grade and 7th grade year. And that kind of started it all for me, honestly. After that, there were 5, I think, in my high school in the next coming years, that it just seemed like a domino effect. It was one person that, did it, other people saw it and was like, oh, these people are getting a lot of attention, these people are, we're almost celebrating it, and it wasn't good. And that led to others. It led to, like I said, more in the high school and then in the surrounding areas, kids that used to go to my high school, other kids that had no connection to my high school, but in our area there were, I believe, 6 or 7 in only a couple short years. And really the biggest thing for me was I knew them. I had been in classes, I've been in projects with them, and it was a little crazy just to think how close of those people I had been, and I had no idea that was going on, and it really shook me to my core, because at that point I hadn't really, before my friend passed away, I never really experienced much of that. I never experienced death or any of that. Didn't even think it was an option really for me until those started happening, and it was just man, everybody's feeling the same way. Like, yeah, like there's times that we're down, but I had never been to that point where I was ready to do it. I had never been to that point, and now seeing it, I have a large awareness for it, and I hope that it doesn't take suicide actually coming into fruition to make people realize and have that awareness. I mean, I think we're seeing it the past couple months in the college world. I mean, the female, I think there's three girls who committed suicide even this year, college athletes, and just the pressure that they have, and so you're seeing it so much, and you know, it's sad because those people feel helpless, you know. They feel hopeless and helpless, and so for me it was kind of a big change in my thought process of how can I help people, how can I love people in a way that they feel valued, they feel loved. Not that I can do that, but I can point them to the one that can, and so that was big for me, and then seeing the families and how that affected families and friends, and the devastation that people had because of it was astounding. And you know, there were some families that came together and kind of pointed people towards the truth and towards Jesus, and through that, but there was others that just kind of went into their own hole and let it kind of destroy their lives. So yeah, it's a big part of my life and my story. You know, the details of it we don't necessarily need to get into, but yeah, just being from that almost suicide culture is crazy. But yeah,
I guess a follow-up question for me. Thanks for sharing. It's not easy for anybody to be able to share that, but what advice would you give to people, I don't know, to catch the warning signs, but also like you said, just love people and show them that you care about them? What advice would you give?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is we don't know what people are going through. I would say just talk to people, be real with people. If you're real with people, who knows, they might be real with you. And just opening that door, that conversation. You don't need to, you know, ask them all personal questions, but ask them questions that are, you know, showing them that you care, you value them, somebody values them, and just pushing them to open up a little bit. And oftentimes we can do that by being vulnerable ourselves. So I think that's probably the best way. And yeah, if you're feeling hopeless, if you're feeling like you have no place to go, like, know that there are people around you that do care about you, and they probably don't even realize what you're going through. And yeah, just being open, I guess, both ways.
Yep. Yeah, if you watch any of our episodes, I think we've said multiple times, Evan and I think every guest that we have brought on has said, just being vulnerable with somebody can not just help you get stuff off of your own chest, but it can also make that person feel comfortable to share stuff that's on their chest and that's heavy on them, which can lead to saving a life, honestly. And just that, like you said, just loving people can just truly showing them that even at least one person values them and sees them from worth, and pointing them to the truth of God, that God loves them and God does value them, and God has big plans for their life. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Sure.
I see. I can't help but look at your shirt. It says Christ alone. It was like, you're not alone, and through Christ, like, you're never alone, no matter what is going on in this world. You always have Christ to go to, and you are never alone. But then through Christ alone, you've been saved.
Yeah.
And you have that eternity in heaven if you choose to follow Christ and choose to love him and accept him into your heart. So, super powerful. Jeremy, thanks again for coming on, sharing your story. If you guys have any questions, please reach out. But for now, this is the 419 Time Podcast. I'm Evan.
I'm Zach.
I'm Jeremy.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
See you later.